Hi, Dr. Stories here with Mystical Professor. Sorry guys, in case I haven't told you, I live in a desert. I have a lot to discuss with you guys, but before we get started, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And before I forget, I do want you to know that I do offer coaching. My email is on my bio, on my profile with YouTube. I've been a deliberate, conscious manifester since 2018, and I'm available if you need to talk to me on the phone or Zoom or email, however you want to do it, okay? So anyway, I wanted to talk to you about two things tonight. I did promise you to talk to you about my mystical experiences. What a better way to do it than out here in the front yard. So like I told you on my last video, which was about self-concept. So I go back and obviously rewatch my videos, and I realized I had started telling you about what I assume to be with Neville Goddard. I've listened to all his lectures that I could find. Some of them have been deleted off of YouTube, and I don't know what happened to them. And I've listened to all the ones that are available, and I've even listened to some people speak them, which it just doesn't have the same effect. I'd rather go read it. You can find a lot of his work still online, as well as, of course, all his books. And I've read all his books. And if you don't want to buy his books, the good thing is you can I think most of them are read by people on YouTube. So that's the benefit, okay? Everybody loves Neville Goddard because he was a mystical guru. He was called the Mad Mystic on 45th Street in New York, and then he moved to California before he died, San Francisco, I believe. And he would always go home to Barbados. He'd spend 4 or 5 months there out of the year, taking like a sabbatical and enjoying the sun because he loved the sun. Anyway, what was great about Neville, besides the fact that he was the guru of mysticism, was also, of course, the law of assumption. But back to mysticism, he was, and no one has ever shared any type of mystical experiences like him. And Abdullah didn't experience the promise. And like I said, in his later years and later lectures up until his death, and he even knew when he was going to die, the day, the minute, the time, everything, because he had experienced 5 different basically births from the skull. They were, the first one he called the birth from the skull, which is where he really experienced a live birth. He was in it, found himself in a tomb, but it was really his skull, and he had an innate knowledge to figure out how to get out, and he did. And he saw his body laying on the bed, and he could see that it was kind of lifeless. The second one was that he experienced basically David, the birth of David, and that's his baby. He knew that he was the father of David, and David is our son that's buried in us, and that so today the son, I mean, that it says in the Bible, today I've begotten thee. So basically he gave birth to Neville, in a sense, and that's when he realized, or Neville gave birth to Neville, it doesn't matter. You get the point. God gave birth to Neville, because in the end, you're the same. You are God. You and God are one. It's all through the Bible, okay? Third one was he experienced the splitting of the curtain, which was his body, and he saw liquid, pulsing golden light, okay? And he knew it was him. The fourth one was the ascent into heaven like a fiery serpent. And the fifth one he experienced was the descent of the dove, where the dove smothered him with kisses. They did not happen all at the same time, but he documented all of them, and he said they happened within certain dates after, okay? And that's what I was trying to explain to you. Nobody has shared this information on YouTube. One or two people have shared like the birth of the skull, okay? Because these happen in a series of events, like I said, and then once you leave your body, after you've experienced all of those mystical experiences, you return to the Father. You're not restored. He believed that you were restored into another body about 20 years old if you didn't finish, well, basically if you didn't experience the birth of the skull before you depart this body, this kingdom, this realm right here, earth, where you are right now in your life. So if you died, like if someone came up here and severed my head off right now, I would be, you know, he's saying I'd be restored to another world like this, another terrestrial world like this, in a young body, comfortably new. That's, he always said it. So it's there. You can go listen to these videos. I don't think I'm crazy. So because he had all these experiences, I would tell myself, this is what I'm trying to explain to you. I would tell myself, oh, I'm you know, I'm just like Neville Goddard. I'm going to experience all the same mystical experiences Neville has. I'm going to have daily visions. He could stop time. And and every single one of those experiences I just described that he described, he said his skull vibrated. I experience the vibrations all the time, especially if I just say, I am God, I am awakened to me, I can feel it, my whole forehead tingles. And at first, when it first started happening, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was my hair on my face or something. And you see, I have my hair off my face all the time because my head is constantly tingling, okay? And then I would tell myself, oh, I have visions like Neville, okay? And I finally did. I had my first vision in 2020, right during the height of the beginning, I should say, the beginning of the pandemic, okay? I was at my mom's and I was resting, had woken up and, you know, went to the bathroom, whatever, and I decided to lay back down. And Neville's described these, as I stated to you, the way he goes into meditation. I followed him to a T, and I experienced visions based on how he described, okay? And he tells you at the end, again, of the unalloyed lecture. It is still available on YouTube, okay? It's got like a blue background. You can see a picture of Neville. Anyway, to the very end where he says, he always said, let's go into the silence. And then somebody asked him the question, can you please explain how you go into meditation? So basically he explained, a lot of this, like I said, is very difficult to explain in, you know, with earthly terms, as he would so say, and I agree, okay? So you see these like puffs of clouds, like in a sense, you know, and you can see that even when you close your eyes, they're kind of still there. You have to be seriously relaxed. You can have no distractions, and you just wait. You're basically turning your attention into the inside of your skull. And I would do that, and and he even said, no thinking, no thoughts. And I didn't either. Wasn't thinking about anything. I was just meditating, watching these puffs go by me like little clouds. And then I told you I know I've shared this with you. There was this most radiant beating. It just took up the whole, like, everything inside my head, you know, inside with my eyes closed. I could see it in my mind's eye, like he always said, in the mind's eye. And it was the most beautiful, I just saw a face. And then I realized it kind of startled me, and I came out of it and real quick, because it was the first time I had a vision. And I didn't induce that state. I didn't induce that vision. I just told you I had zero thoughts. And it was my face, extremely beautiful, indescribably beautiful. And I realized now, after reading his books, watching his lectures, and listening to his lectures, I still go back and listen to some, because like I said, there's nobody on here. And I want to grow with some of you, because I know some of you want these experiences too, and so do I. So, you know, that's why also I started this channel, to share this knowledge with you, because he even said, when these things happen to you, you know, back then they didn't have the internet, they didn't have YouTube. You need to share this information with others. Okay, that's what's described in the Bible, but people can't make heads or tails of it. And the Bible was written symbolically. That's why they have a concordance. Okay, they defined certain terms. You know, among means within, for instance, because if you listen to Neville, he uses that concordance, and there's Strong's concordance, and there's another one. I always refer to the Strong concordance, and you can get it online, and you'll see that it's written, and definitely thousands of years ago. The second vision I had was when I went back to my home in North Carolina. I was very, very tired. I got up, went to the bathroom again, and laid back down and decided to watch these puffs again and not have any thoughts. And you can't even think about the fact, well, am I going to have vision or not? You can't be thinking. You have to be completely blank, okay? Honestly. very relaxed. And I'm gonna be honest, I was about to be asleep. And all of a sudden, it looked like New Hampshire, because I grew up there. There was remnants of snow, and I was like floating. So this is really more of an out-of-body experience, okay? I was like floating down the road. I just paid attention, didn't think anything, because I didn't want it to end, so I just watched. And again, this was like a circle. You can only see, it's like out, like right here with your eyes open, but it was like dark on the outer edges, and only the circle was clear as the day. You could see it was daylight, and I'm like floating down the street, and I'm like, wow. There was remnants of snow. Anyway, and I get down to the very last mobile home, and I went up the sidewalk. I floated up the sidewalk, and I looked in the window, because it was a glass door. I looked in the window door of the door, and I was wondering who that was, what's going on here, obviously, and I could see it was my reflection. I knew it was me. And I proceeded to open the door and go in, and there were children frolicking in the living room. My adult daughter was in the bedroom. I couldn't see her, but she was behind the door. She mentioned something about my son. And out of the little tiny children, one of them came up to me and said, "Hi, Mom." And that child's not my child, but called me Mom. It was really crazy. And then I talked to my daughter through the door about my son, and then it was over. Okay, that was my second one. And then I've had a couple more. So my third one was while I've been here, I was almost completely asleep again. This one was at night. Those other two were in the morning. This one was at night, so it doesn't discriminate. I was almost asleep again. And all of a sudden, I'm floating down a path again, but this was a wooded path, like a trail, and there was a horse. I'm like, oh, in my mind, I'm like, oh, wow, beautiful horse. Kept going down, another horse. And I remember what they looked like, and I'm like, wow, another beautiful horse. And then I go further down, and there was an old rustic barn. I'm like, oh my gosh, a barn. And then I fell asleep, and then the next morning I realized, oh my God, I had another vision. I don't have Neville call on to say, what do these mean? Because he'd had visions all the time, and he talked about them all the time in his lectures. And I had another one recently. Again, it was at night. I went to the bathroom, I came back, laid down. Again, I made sure I wasn't thinking anything. I wasn't affirming anything. These are not deliberate daydreams. These were not my visualizations. This is completely I did not call it. I did uncalled, that they're visions. That's what, I didn't do anything to create it. It wasn't a daydream. It wasn't a forced dream. It was an absolute vision. Because I can tell a difference. My dreams are normally like looking out here, which I've had even some more mystical experiences. Because I've decided that I know that I'm one with God. And that, because I was raised a devout Catholic, like I told you, and I believe that God was up in the blue sky somewhere. That's what I was taught. And I prayed to saints, and a priest, and a nun, and all that. And I was learning to worship. My curriculum was all about church because of the fact that I, attended parochial schools. And I realized, even then as a child, I sang in a choir. I'm a really good singer. But anyway, I sang in a choir, and I would sing to myself in my backyard all the time. And I would look at myself, and I'd look around inside my head and think, oh my God, you're not just a human. You're a soul in a body. And I was only like 10 or 11 years old thinking that. When I lay in bed, I would see things. And some doctors would consider me insane, but I'm not. See, that's why I started this channel too. I know that I'm not insane. I know I'm not hallucinating. I'm 100% natural. I do not take any prescription drugs. I do not take any kind of medications. I do not drink. I haven't drank one sip of anything, alcohol, since 2010 when my dad died. And I only had one sip of a margarita with my son. And I wasn't even, that was 2010, so I hadn't even heard about Neville or visions, okay? I don't take medication. I don't even take a Tylenol because I am the placebo. So, and if I told you how old I am, you would not believe me because I don't dye my hair and I don't have gray hair because I know that the Bible's true. I know that manifestation is true because that's what the Bible is all about, a book of manifestations. That's what it's about. The Book of Thomas was removed because They didn't want us to know whoever they were. They didn't want us to know the power that we have within us, okay? Which leads me now, because that's all I'm going to talk about, my mystical experiences, because I just told you I had another one, but it was weird. The one I recently had, it was, I went to the bathroom, I laid down, and like I saw the door coming up, and I could see people eating. I think I told you this on one of my videos. I could see people eating at a picnic table, and then it shut back down. And it came back up, and I could see them again. Because I tell myself that I'm just like Neville. I'm a mystic. And I've had all the same experiences as Neville. And Neville spoke to people in other worlds. Okay? My father passed away in 22, I just told you. Well, I tell myself, no, he hasn't. And people have shared in other forums that they've seen, you know, things happen when they say that person's still alive. Because the person's still alive within you. Neville is waiting for you. And I'm going to upload that video where he says that. Neville's waiting for you. He's waiting for you to experience your birth from above, which is your skull, okay? You've already had the birth from below, which was your human birth, where someone gave birth to you, and like I said, you were chosen out of all those sperm. You were chosen in him before the foundation of the world, all right? Sorry, I'm going on 16 minutes, so I don't want to keep you too long. So this is the most important thing, and why I've led up to this. He has a newer lecturer before he passed away from this realm, because we know he returned to the Father, because he said he was going to. And he predicted his own death. It's right here on YouTube. Go listen to something Carter, Mr. Carter. He was his chauffeur, and he explains exactly, you know, and not only that, he said it in the lecture, but then Mr. Carter verified everything because he found him dead. So he insisted on the fastest way to manifest, the absolute fastest way to manifest, to instantly manifest effortlessly, easily, is through brazen impudence. And if you notice, and I will end screen it right at the end of this live or upload, I created a subliminal, okay? That way it bypasses your conscious logical mind and gets right into your subconscious. So you can instantly manifest, because you will have brazen. Do you know what brazen means? Bold. You know what impudence means? Rude. Okay, somebody, you know, that thinks they're above everybody. Brazen impudence. What that means is you have the power and the ability, and that's what it's a term, to block everything out, to not accept no. You, whatever you affirm, assume, and you hear me saying this over and again, visualize, sing, script to be true, or is the desire that you already have it, and you think, feel, and act as it's already a part of your reality. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and spend $1 million. I'm just telling you, because if that's your desire, to have $1 million right now, you ignore limiting beliefs. You ignore negative people, or people that, you know, say, oh yeah, you know, they don't believe you, which that is the devil. Doubt is the devil, not that individual, just doubt. Doubt is the devil, okay? And Neville said that all the time, doubt is the devil. And then in the next video, I will talk to you about wearing the shield of faith, okay? And you say, all right, so you ignore all of that. You live, breathe, eat, everything that your desire is already here, right here, and you are living it, because you're brazen impudent. That's the fastest way to manifest whatever it is that you desire. All right? Don't go buy no mirrors if you're trying to do an appearance change. Don't be looking in your damn bank account if you do want $1 million in there. Okay? Don't go around telling people what your desires are. Okay? You can write it down. All right? Do not have any contradicting thoughts. You cannot waver. You have to do exactly what my subliminal tells you to do, word for word, and you will manifest instantly. That's the key right there. That's the best gift I can ever give humanity, is what I created today. All right? All right, I've been on here 19 minutes. I think it's almost 20. I think this is the longest video. So I shared my mystical experiences with you. I'm telling you to be brazenly impudent. If you desire something right now, because that's how you instantly, effortlessly, and easily manifest. I know I've told you, and you got to get out of your own way, because it requires, you don't beg for it, you don't chase for it, it comes to you, okay? I'm trying to help you create your desired reality. Remember, if you're going to be brazen, if you're going to be brazenly impudent, you're living, you're speaking, you're thinking, all of it, acting as if it's already true, as if it's already here. You hear the quantum leaping, the quantum jumping, the shifting, the morphing. That's what it is. You got to be brazenly impudent. And I'm also going to upload his brazen impudent lecture. It's spoken by somebody else. His name is Josiah Bryant, because we don't have a copy. No one has a copy. I can't find a copy of Neville speaking that lecture, okay? But it's his lecture, okay? You got this. I'm here to help you. Like I said, if there's any more requests, I just uploaded that musical request, and I'm sorry for my error the other night. We're on different errors. We're on different time zones, not timelines, but hey, we are on different timelines actually, because there's not really, Neville said there's really no such thing as time. It's a human construct. And we already know from science that, did you know that if they take a microscope up to you, there's nothing there, okay? The other thing is, there's one more thing. You can work. They have healed people without, it's called the two-slit experiment method. Go look at that. Go look at that. Quantum physics, okay? They healed somebody on the operating table without even performing any kind of operation, okay? Because we know that can be done just by our mere thought. Contemplate, the seed of contemplated thought. It only takes faith the size of a mustard seed, which is the smallest seed, to move a mountain. And mountain is not referring to the mountains that are right here, to that problem, or whatever it is that you want moved. That's all you need. And you can have whatever you want. I told you that the other day. You can. The only person stopping you from having what you want is you, with your opposing thoughts, with your complaining, with everything, you believing what's in the physical world. And that's the other key, obviously, with the brazen impudence, is that you cannot use this as a tool of measurement. You use this, the third eye, that is your tool of measurement. You can use it, like I said, symbolically, like Abdullah did, to tell you where you're failing, in a sense, because people are only messengers. So if someone tells you blah, blah, and you don't agree with it, well, you know what you got to do. You change it in here. You can't do it through force. You do it in here. Trust me, I know. And that's why I'm on here sharing with you. Okay, guys? I'm sorry it's so long and it's so late, but this is very important information that I wanted to share with you. And I was trying to point out to you is that I have been brazenly impudent about everything recently, including the fact that I am a powerful mystic. Because I don't want to just experience material things. I want to experience the godly, the spirit, the Holy Spirit, spiritual intelligence, okay? And I know some of you do too, and that's why I uploaded this video tonight. I combined the two because what you do spiritually is what will be reflected out here, just like the Lord's Prayer, make the unseen seen, and you can do it. Okay, keep your script just so I can use it as evidence. All right, and you can do it for others. And like I said, I do want to get a group going, helping each other out, because there's no resistance. I don't have any resistance, neither do you. But I'm just saying, some people, especially beginners. So if you're an advanced manifester, besides listening to the subliminals, besides just assuming, affirming, scripting to get whatever you want, you can tell yourself over and over again. That's the other, some people manifest just by affirming robotically. You decide, you create your own reality, you create your own rules. It's called law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true is. Okay, so if you think that you visualize and it's going to give you what you want, then it is. If you think you assuming it is going to, you just got to assume it or affirm it once, just assume it, and it's going to be reflected out here in the physical world, then that's your rule and that's what you believe, and then guess what? That's what you're going to experience. That's why you get frustrated with all these different coaches. They're teaching you all they're teaching you their successful method, what worked for them. I'm here to teach you about all the methods as well as the science, and of course Neville, okay? Because that's why I felt the calling, because there's so much misinformation out there, because they just want views or whatever, or they get monetized. And you know, I told you I've been a professor for a very long time, and I have been an educator for even longer, all right? So I know that affirming, like I told you, I know affirming, scripting, visualizing, assuming, I know they all work, but I'm going to teach you about all of them because you decide which one's going to be the best fit for you. Subliminals work. Science has proven that subliminals work. Science has proven that hypnosis works because it's bypassing the rational reasoning mind, the logical side of you. Manifestation is not logical. It isn't. You don't even have to believe what you're saying to your brain. It's going to reflect in your 3D world. Okay? Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. This is Dr. Shores with Mystical Professor.